This is Chromophobe, and this is about the Colorblind Quiz. Now, the Colorblind Quiz is not a diagnostic. You do not use it to find out if you're colorblind. In fact, you only get this quiz once you already know you're colorblind, specifically when your friends know. See, when I tell people I'm colorblind, I invariably get the exact same response of,
"What color is this thing?"
"That's chartreuse, babe." Dear trichromats, we know that most of you mean well, but you wouldn't ask a dwarf if they can reach something on the top shelf, and you definitely wouldn't ask a blind person how many fingers you're holding up, because that would be messed up. So why is it okay to ask a colorblind person what color something is? I mean, is it okay just because our disability is less severe? Sincerely, Protan. The quiz seems almost like a reflex for normies. Now, don't get me wrong, I love explaining colorblindness to color normal people. That is literally why I started this channel, but I'm an outlier. Most colorblind people don't really like talking about it or answering a quiz, either because it's a personal condition, like most medical conditions, or simply because they don't know much about it, because it simply hasn't affected their life in a way that they've had to go out and research it. But look, it is your right to be curious, if that is indeed what is motivating the string of questions. I saw a great analogy a few weeks ago comparing giving a colorblind person the quiz into an American who finds out that Brits have different words for some object. Now, that American could respond by pointing around the room and saying, "What do you call that? What do you call that? What do you call that?" Which you might agree sounds like something a 5-year-old would do. Or they could be a little bit more diplomatic about the situation and say, "What is your least favorite Americanism?" To which a Brit would probably respond, "Pants." So take that same idea and apply it to your colorblind friend. Instead of just giving them the quiz of what color is this, what color is this, what color is this, maybe ask more open-ended questions that allow them to participate in a dialogue instead of just being your weird proxy simulator to know what colorblindness looks like. A good question to start might be, what kind of colorblindness do you have? And if they don't know, that's a good opportunity for you to refer them to my channel so they can find out.
Smooth.
I thought so. Some good questions could be, does it affect your life much? Or do you think it's stupid that people have favorite colors? Or is this why you didn't have a gender reveal party? Some dumb questions could be, what color is this orange? Or does being colorblind make you sad? Or my personal least favorite, what colors do you see? Because what does that question even mean? We're going to have to come back to that one. But giving someone the colorblind quiz and asking them what color things are is basically telling them, "Dance monkey, exploit yourself for my entertainment." Or worse, "I don't believe that you're colorblind," which, that's terrible. Like, why would anyone pretend to be colorblind? Sometimes we will humor you, answer your questions, take the quiz. I generally do this when I am drunk or the girl is cute.
Hey, watch it.
And look, if we get the color wrong, don't pity or patronize us. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Also, don't correct us. I mean, we generally don't care what colors look like to you or other trichromats, and if we did, we would ask. And for the love of God, we are not colorblind because we had bad parents or bad teachers that didn't effectively teach us about color. It's a genetic condition that is not changeable. No amount of training us by pointing to things around the room and saying, "That's red, that's blue, that's purple," is going to help us distinguish those colors or see colors like you do. It's not how it works. Also, if you give them the quiz and they get the color right, which is highly likely considering that most of us do not see in black and white and see almost as many colors as you, don't call us a liar because we're not colorblind. I mean, it's not our fault that you may have some false preconception about what colorblindness actually means. One of the most famous colorblind people was Fred Rogers, better known as Mr. Rogers, who was a beloved children's show host for about 30 years, and if you've never seen Mr. Rogers' Neighbourhood, my wife has some advice for you.
Hey, watch it.
In a 1998 article for Esquire, the author recalls an anecdote that he had with Mr. Rogers. The blue walls are the ends of the daylight universe he has made, and yet Mr. Rogers can't see them, or at least can't know them, because he was born blind to color. He doesn't know the color of his walls, and one day when I caught him looking towards his painted skies, I asked him to tell me what color they are, and he said, "I imagine they're blue, Tom." Then he looked at me and smiled. "I imagine they're blue." Now what a salient, heartbreaking moment that would be if Mr. Rogers was an achromat or a monochromat who saw in black and white. Which he wasn't. Mr. Rogers was in fact red-green colorblind, likely due to ranopia, and that meant that he saw sky blue as sky blue. So when he said, "I imagine they're blue, Tom," he wasn't inferring that he can't see blue, but rather sarcastically pointing out, how could I possibly not know what color the sky is? The color is literally named after the sky. So there's a Danish proverb which states, or in English, the sky is not less blue because the blind man does not see it. So even if sky blue was indeed a color of confusion for Mr. Rogers, he would know contextually that the sky is blue. If you were to ask a completely blind man, what color is the sky, he would probably tell you blue and then tell you to fuck off. Knut Nordby was a Norwegian achromat, meaning he saw in black and white. He was well known for participating in the famous book by Oliver Sacks, Island of the Colorblind, which was also made into a documentary by BBC. And in his words,
"For me, blue is the color that people say the sky has. I know that blue also can mean being sort of sad."
We know what color grass is or what color the sky is, not necessarily because it's intuitive for us like it is for you, but because we've memorized it. The ocean is blue, the grass is green, the sun is yellow. None of those things actually look like those colors to me, but I know not to call the grass orange. Similarly, if you ask me what color socks you're wearing, I'm no fashionista, but I take it that they're more likely to be blue than purple, so I will say blue, even if I perceive purple. All this to say, no answer to your question of what color is this is going to be able to paint a picture for you of what colorblind people actually see. What color do you see this as is a slightly more specific and useful form of that question, but even then, your imagination is not equipped to take all of those inputs and somehow come up with some idea of what a colorblind person sees. For that, you need a colorblind simulator or a colorblind filter, which is something that there's lots of on the internet and on YouTube, and therefore you can do all of that without having some awkward conversation with your colorblind friend. Now, what I don't want, which is something that I've seen normies complain about, is for you to think that we're somehow offended by the quiz. Because, at least in my case, we're absolutely not. More so, it just makes the asker look kind of ignorant. It can get annoying for most people, considering we've all had this numerous times, and just makes for an awkward conversation. But on that point, dear colorblind people, don't get offended when a color normal starts giving you the quiz. I mean, sure, if they're doing it because they don't believe you, they can go to hell, but otherwise, they probably mean well. So, help to educate them, answer their questions, tell them things that maybe they didn't want to know. Look, if you met a monochromat, you would probably have equally as stupid questions for them. And if you don't want to talk about it, well, maybe substitute that by showing them some videos of mine so I can talk about it for you. Sincerely, Protan.
No, the comments are going to be full of smartasses asking you the color of stuff, right?
Yeah, well, engagement's engagement, I guess. This has been Chromophobe.